Hello everyone, Mr. Bean 35000 VR here, and yes indeed I have managed to get 24 races loaded at once in Mario Kart Wii. Check out the starting line just here. They don't actually all fit onto the screen, there's some hiding off the back, including myself. I'm back here. But check it out, I've managed to get 24 races loaded at once, and they're all unique, so this is every single non-me character in Mario Kart Wii racing at the same time, which is pretty cool. So if you remember my previous video about this, I managed to get 13 players loaded at once, which was a huge technical achievement in itself, but since then I've been working very hard, overcoming every buffer overrun that presents itself and random structures that needed organising in memory, and I've managed to get the player count up to 24. It might be possible to take it even slightly higher than this. I know currently that the limit of players that I can do is somewhere between 24 and 29. 30 players definitely crashes the game, because we reached the limit for how many files the game can load at once. However, well, that's not necessarily going to stop me, let's put it that way. But anyway, I did a bunch of offline races with 23 CPUs and hunted around for some good ones, and I've got this video which is a bunch of races back to back that I thought were pretty interesting. Now, if you've been watching this race, you'll notice that the item roulette's working pretty well. How I've got the item roulette working is that I've cloned the item. What would you call them? The item like distributions across all of the races. So what I mean by that is the items that 12th place would usually get are the items that 23rd and 24th will get, the items that 11th place would normally get, or what 21 and 22nd would get, etc. The exception being 1st and 2nd. 2nd place will still get what 2nd place would usually get in order to make red shells work, like so. Otherwise, 1st can just get a breakaway since you can't get red shells in 1st ordinarily in Mario Kart Wii, so there's that. These CPUs really wanted to troll me and they almost got away with it. Now, in the weirdness department, Luigi doesn't actually celebrate his achievements when he's done here. Well, he doesn't speak, and it waits until everyone's finished before displaying the results, which is also working pretty well, by the way. Points are calculated with a very simplistic calculation based on similar to how the base game does it, with 1st place getting slightly more, and 2nd place getting slightly more, and 3rd place getting slightly more than everybody else in the room. But yeah, so that Mario Circuit race, I talked over it, but it was a pretty insane race actually. Now, I've been deliberately doing, whenever I've been starting in 1st, I deliberately made sure to not do the best boost start, because usually that's good enough to set a sequence of events into motion that has me trapped in the back for ages, which gives me a chance to show off the CPUs. This race is no exception. So I started in 1st and did the smallest boost start that was possible and immediately got knocked into like 22nd or something ludicrous like that, which is pretty cool. Anyway, you might have also noticed that I'm driving a bit like an idiot and bumping into walls. The game is running at 30 frames per second, but that's not to blame for that. I'm actually suffering from information overload with this many CPUs on the screen. With that many players, I cannot pay attention to myself and everything else that's going on around me at the same time, and so I will drive into walls. But yeah, so I had to reduce the game to 30 FPS. Game can't handle 24 players at 60. Now, I put out the question in the last video, how many players do you think I can add before the game will lag? And honestly, it depends on the track, but really, if you've got items turned on, you can get away with like 1 or 2 more races before the Wii reaches its limit and the game starts to lag. But if without items, you can get up to like 18 players without lag. But anyway, this is 24 players with items. It runs at 30 FPS pretty well. I think we'd start lagging more if I started going much beyond 24, but we'll find out. I know people have been super keen in seeing a 100-player Mario Kart Wii. I would like to bring it to you if that's at all possible. Anyway, I thought that I was in for an easy victory here. I just pulled that golden and goldened up to the top, and but no, I got Mario Karted. I almost lost to Diddy Kong as well. If it wasn't for that red shell, I would have completely lost to him. So yeah. That was another fairly hectic race that I've managed to talk my way through. I'm not really paying attention to what's going on in the video here at all, but that's okay. I know that the races are cool, I know that the races are exciting, and yeah. So the 3rd race of the video was Grumble Volcano. This one was pretty insane. Again, I'm starting in 1st, so I decided to try to do a slightly smaller boost to start, and immediately get bumped. That was not as small as the one I got on Peach Beach though. Turns out not to matter though. I just decide to drive along, drive and grab as many items as possible, but the CPUs keep getting in my way. And then they red me, and just like that, one red shell from all the way down to 22nd. I don't even remember what position I was in. I think it was in like second, so I lost 20 placements from one red shell. And then Waluigi just kills me. Now, I really thought that the CPUs would spread out a lot more than they actually end up doing. Instead, they kind of move around as a cluster. There's not a lot of space usually between last and first. Oh, one more thing, since we just fired a bullet bill here. Bullet bills are one of the things that are not working necessarily completely properly. The bullet is not entirely sure how many placements it's trying to take you up, because it's meant to load a value based on how many players are in the current race, and then decide based on that how many people it's supposed to overtake. Evidently this is reading off the end of a table somewhere, and so it's ingesting nonsense, and so when you fire a bullet bill you don't necessarily know how good it's going to be. I do know from experience that if you fire a bullet in 23rd, it thinks it wants to take you all the way to first, and will do that quite happily, assuming that it doesn't last too long. Whereas firing a bullet in 24th, it doesn't want to overtake anyone, so it just drops you off immediately. So, kind of odd. It's not perfect, I'm still working on it. I'm hoping to fix up these last bugs and then maybe release it in the cheat code form. I will say that this cheat code is massive. It's the longest cheat code I have ever written, and yes, make no mistake, this is a cheat code. This entirely is a GCT, and I don't know how many people have like code loaders that can load a code as big as this. I had to do some seriously interesting shenanigans in order to keep being able to actually make this code in the first place. But yes, another thing I would like to do with this, of course, is to bring it to CTGP in the long run if I can. I don't see why I can't, so let's put it that way. But there's going to be a lot of complications, a lot of things that will need to be tested very thoroughly before that can happen. The online component is going to be a whole separate beast. I haven't even started looking into that. The online component is just as statically hard-coded to 12 as the offline component is, so I can only imagine how fun that's going to be to try to develop when I'm going to need to test it, and I'm going to need at least 12 other people with the mod in order to actually try anything. It's going to be a nightmare. But anyway, so the final race in this video, coming up after this one has concluded. This is a separate GP to the one that was previously going on. I've selected best races, so you're not seeing actual accumulated point scores coming up here. But yes, I decided, of course, Rainbow Road, obviously. I knew that people would want to see Rainbow Road, and I was starting in 24th since it was the beginning of a new GP. And I was kind of hoping, actually, that in Rainbow Road the CPUs would spread out, but again, they did not. Wario decides he's going to kill me, so me and about, how many CPUs are back here? 4 other CPUs all fell off. So we're playing catch-up from the back, playing Rainbow Road from the back in 24th. And here's an example of a bullet that really does want to take you anywhere. It just took me 3 positions because each bullet has a minimum time that it can run for, and then immediately dropped me off at its nearest safe location. Anyway, I don't know why I thought I could make this jump here. I was wrong. And fell down. But hey, I dodged a shock, so that's nice, isn't it? So yeah, I'm playing Rainbow Road from 20th place at the moment. 50 seconds into the cannon. It's not amazing, but anyway. Using a mushroom here, I overtake like 7 people all at once and suddenly in 13th. Now, CPUs on Rainbow Road have never been amazing, so playing catch-up on Rainbow Road is not all that difficult as long as you don't fall off. Which can be an interesting challenge with this many CPUs hanging around, and quite a lot of CPUs are using heavy vehicles here. That's not by design, that's just random. That's just what the RNG decided they were going to be driving, so... But yeah, I almost fell off there when my controller locked up, which was pretty awkward, but yeah. I did not. And speaking of times when I should have fallen off and didn't, check out this sequence of events. I decided to do this, and it's like, this is not going to work, right? Saved by the shock. First I dodge a shock, and then I get hit by a shock that makes sure that I don't fall off. And then I get to burn off a bunch of the shock time in the cannon, so that's pretty good. But yeah, the rest of this race is fairly simple from here. I just go and front run it to the end. I get glued a couple of times. But yes. In terms of a release schedule for this, I would not like to estimate. This looks like it's very complete and it's pretty good. However, there is a lot of work that still needs to be done, especially if I want to go beyond 24. If I want to release it in this current form with 24 players, that's not too difficult as long as we don't want the online support. If we do want online support, yeah, I don't know how long that would take. Honestly, I'm going to have to be honest, yeah, I've got to thinking it logically, I'm going to have to release this offline version first, just so people can have it, so that we can all try to pile into a room online to get there and see if it works or not. Hey, might be interesting. But before I do any of that, I'm going to tidy it up. I want to make sure that it doesn't do anything completely ludicrous. I mean, there is some weirdness that's going to be quite hard to debug. For instance, Luigi, you may have noticed throughout this video, but Luigi has been distracted a lot. He's just been looking off to the side at various things. It's not immediately obvious what he's looking at either. Right now he's just kind of looking to the left, right, you see? So that's one bug. There's also bloopers don't affect everybody, powers sometimes don't affect everybody, stuff like that, you know. But yes, I hope you enjoyed that. Look at 24-player Mario Kart Wii. I'm sure we'll be bringing more of these videos soon. And maybe 100 players if I can make it work. Thanks for watching. See you all again next time, and goodbye.